Hey guys, Alex here with Serious Goose Games. Welcome back to our Unity Tactics RPG tutorial. In the last episode, we made our grid interactive by making tiles change color when we hover over them or click on them. Today we're adding the next step and making it so our player unit moves to the tile that we selected. To start, we're going to right-click in our scripts folder and create a new mono behavior script called unit. This script will handle any logic we need related to our unit specifically. So once you create your script, double-click to open it up. And we're going to need a few variables to make this work. First thing is going to be a public vector2 int called grid position. That's just going to tell us where our unit is on the grid. Next, we want a public float for move speed. We'll set that to be equal to 5f. And now we want a private bool called isMoving. We're going to set that to be false by default. And then we want a private vector3 called target position. That's where we want to move to. And the last thing we want is a private const float. So this will be a constant called stopping distance. This is how far away it has to be before it just snaps to its position. We're going to set this to be equal to 0.01 f by default. So now we can get rid of the start method. We're not going to need that today. And then underneath update, we'll come back to update after. We're going to create a new method, public void move to. And in order for this method to work, we need to give it some information. So we're going to pass in a couple of arguments that it can use. So the first one is going to be a vector3 called position. And the second one is going to be a vector2 int called grid POS, grid position. So inside the method, we're going to set our target position to be equal to position and our grid position to be equal to the new grid position. And lastly, we're going to set isMoving to be equal to true. Now we're going to create another method. This one is going to be a private void called handle movement. And this one does not need any arguments as parameters. Now, the first thing we want to check, though, is if we're not moving, so if not is moving, then we're going to return. That's going to be our exit condition, our escape, because we don't want to process any of the code in here if we're not actually moving. It's a waste of resources and time. If we are moving, though, then we want to actually move our unit. So we're going to grab transform.position and set that to be equal to vector3 dot move towards. And we're going to pass in our transform.position, our target position, and then we're going to pass in our move speed times time dot delta time. So what this line of code is doing, vector3 dot move towards, it takes 2 points and kind of draws a line between them. So we're passing in our unit position as the start and our target position as the end. It's going to draw a line from that point to the end point, and it's going to move our unit along that line according to this third parameter, which is our move speed times time dot delta time. Our move speed is set by 5. If we were to not multiply that by time dot delta time, it would move 5 units every single frame. So it would be nearly instantaneous. It would just kind of snap to its new position. And that's not what we want. We want it to be a nice, smooth kind of transition. We want it to walk to its unit, not teleport there. So that's where time dot delta time comes in. Time dot delta time is the time between frames. So if we take our move speed and we multiply by that number, we're going to get a really, really tiny number. The next thing we want to check is, are we close enough to our destination that we can just stop moving and snap to it? So if vector3 distance, we're going to pass in our transform position and our target position. If the distance between those 2 points is less than our stopping distance, Then we're going to set our transform dot position to be equal to a target position. And we're going to set is moving to be false. And before we move on, we're going to go back up to update, and we're going to call the handle movement function inside here. Now to check to make sure this is working, let's go back to tile. And we are going to, down in on pointer down, we're going to add a horrendous line of code that we're definitely going to change later. And it's going to be find any object by type. The type is unit. And we're going to call the move to method, and we're going to pass in transform.position and grid position as our parameters. So the reason I say this line is horrendous is because find any object by type and its related functions are notoriously slow compared to other ways that you could do this. And the reason it's slow is because it has to check all of the game objects in your scene. So right now, where we only have a handful of objects, it's not that bad. But if we had hundreds of objects, it might take a little longer. If we had thousands, it would take even longer. So that's why you see this function kind of cursed out on the internet. That being said, it does have its uses, and I enjoy using it in like start or awake, which sure, it might increase the load time slightly, but it's not going to cause any slowdowns in the actual gameplay, which is far more important to players than a fraction of a second longer load time. Once you've got everything set, go ahead and save all your code. Head back to Unity. Make sure you save your scene. Let's grab our unit prefab. So in the project panel, go to prefabs, unit, double click to open it. Go to your scripts folder, and we're going to drag our unit script onto our unit. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and hit play. So once your grid's all generated and ready to go, you can see that tiles still turn yellow when we highlight them. If I click on one though, we can see our unit moves to it. Now, obviously, this is a far cry from a tactics game where you usually select a unit and a movement range appears and you move within that range, and you only move X amount per turn. But this is a good start. It lets us move our unit around, and eventually we'll have pathfinding, so it finds a path when we have movement costs and all that stuff. So it's a really nice beginning to our full movement. Now, if you're watching this video and the next one hasn't come out yet, my homework for you is to do a little bit of research and learn about pathfinding algorithms. So look into A-star, because we're going to be using A-star pathfinding. Look into like Dijkstra's algorithm and breadth first search, that kind of thing. Having an understanding of those algorithms is huge. That and pathfinding is just so cool. It is an amazing like little subfield of computer science, and I love pathfinding. Sorry. Anyways, that's all for today though. So if you found this episode helpful, hit like and subscribe to keep following the series. Comment below, how far would you like your units to move in a typical tactics turn? Would you keep ranges rigid or go for a more varied approach like XCOM does? I like how you can move multiple times in a turn. In XCOM, movement is more of a resource than it is an action. As always, thanks for watching. I'm Alex with Serious Goose Games, and I'll see you in the next one.